In an article penned for The Atlantic and titled "Southern Evangelicals Dwindling and Taking the GOP Edge with Them," Robert P. Jones opined that the GOP might see less Election Day support from white evangelical Protestants than they have seen in previous years. His premise was not based on an assumption that this stalwart of GOP support was suddenly shifting loyalty to the Democratic Party, to libertarians, or even to independents. Rather, Jones based his declaration on the demonstrable fact that white evangelical Protestants are a dwindling breed. The subgroup of evangelicals among the WASPs, or white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, currently comprises 29% of Americans over the age of 65. They also comprise of only 10% of Americans 18 to 29. At the time that this article was written, the senatorial election races in the 5 southern states were too close to call. By the time this story goes to air, however, the 2014 Senate election will be a matter of history, and we'll know whether Jones's premise, that as he wrote, 2014, may be the year that the underlying demographic trends finally exert enough force to make themselves felt. West Africa is deeply religious, and the region is home of some of the world's fastest growing Muslim and Christian populations. Posters and banners strewn across cities are constant reminders of the hope many find in spirituality amid a fearful and increasingly desperate situation. As the outbreak races into its 11th month, leaving behind almost 4,500 dead across Guinea, Liberia and Sierra Leone, experts have warned that an influx of international aid can only contain the epidemic alongside other measures in communities. In Liberia, Pastor Amos Tia said he has changed the way he conducts his church services. These days we go to church, we sing, but we no longer carry out the tradition of passing the peace. We no longer shake hands. We are even thinking about using spoons to serve communion, to drop the bread into a person's palm, avoiding all contacts with that person. The church has placed a strong emphasis on prevention, he said. But there are signs that the message is already filtering through. Some churches are playing a critical role in educating their congregations about the disease, which is spread through direct contact with body fluids of those already showing symptoms. But officials have fretted about the impact of influential spiritual leaders, worrying that evangelical churches, which sometimes hold thousands of faithful and services promising healing, could ignite new chains of transmission. In one piece of rare good news, the UN Health Agency officially declared an end to the Ebola outbreak in Senegal. The World Health Organization commended this country on its diligence to end the transmission of the virus, citing Senegal's quick and thorough response. A woman in Lawton, Oklahoma, recently went to a restaurant where she ordered food and some drinks. She partook of the fare, and when the bill arrived, she claimed that her husband would be along shortly to pay in cash for her bill. However, when questioned about the identity of her husband, she replied it was Jesus Christ. Now, as far as most people are concerned, Jesus was either a fictional character or features in the New Testament, or was the Son of God. But in this instance, he failed to show up and settle up for this lady, and the issue of a hefty bill still remains. Christy Rhines claimed that she was the bride of Jesus under the eyes of the law, but when Jesus failed to show and settle the bill at the El Chico Mexican restaurant in Lawton, she was arrested and charged with fraud since she couldn't pay her bill. Despite her claim that she and Jesus were legally married, she didn't have the marriage license to prove it. Officers who arrived at the scene said Rhines did not appear to be intoxicated or belligerent as she discussed the situation with authorities. Would Jesus skip out on paying for a meal, or was it Christy Rhines' Last Supper?